name is Christian Shaw, the host of Becoming Bankable. Today I'm sitting down with Andrew Kroeze, the Mr. Master of Fate himself, the owner of Masters of Fate Brotherhood, and I now believe Sisterhood as well, which is a transformational program that helps men and women become the best versions of themselves and grow a business that, for me at least, when I was in your program, grow a business that aligns with your core values and is not just a business to make money. It's something to truly step into where, a business that you're proud of and get fulfillment from. So I would love to dive deep into Masters of Fate, how you got here, your whole origin story, Andrew, and just chop it up with you and dive deep. So thanks for
that sounds great, man. Thank you so much for having me. And dude, it's always been awesome hanging out with you at the events and in person. So I'm excited for this conversation.
Yeah, likewise, man. Likewise. So let's get in deep because I don't really think I learned what was. Let's see. I first got introduced to you by Nick Robbins last year, who was a mentor of mine as well. He owns an agency in the agency world, and he referred me to you and the program that you're doing. But I didn't dive too deep into your origin story and like how this all came about. Were you always entrepreneurial? Were you always in business for yourself? How did this all start? Was it
No, I had a pretty normal upbringing in Cleveland, Ohio. First 23 years of my life. Lower middle class family. We didn't really travel too much. And it wasn't until I was 24, I'm 31 now, but when I was 24, I came across a Tai Lopez webinar. And that got me into entrepreneurship and actually quitting my job. And it was
that the 67 steps?
No, it was SMMA. So I started with that. Yeah. And I was just like so programmed into the matrix up until that point. And going into entrepreneurship was the best thing that I ever did, like physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, because it really, I think everybody can resonate with this. It really, really challenges you. And you want to give up, but you're going for your dreams. You want to have that financial freedom and all that. But up until that point, I was just working a normal sales job in Chicago, completely depressed. Completely. I thought everybody had depression because I had depression for so long. When I was 18, I went through a breakup with a girl that I was absolutely in love with. We went off to different colleges, and I didn't have any friends at Ohio University. So I joined a fraternity and got into heavy drinking, partying, poly drug user. And I became super depressed in college. I was in and out of therapy. I got the free therapy from Ohio University. So shout out to Ohio University for giving me that for free. And life went on like that for 6 years. I didn't feel anything emotionally. I was completely numb. I didn't cry for 6 years. I didn't know what tapping into my body or feeling into my body was. I didn't believe in energy or anything like that. And the turning point was when I was working my sales job in Chicago from my apartment, and I was just kind of screwing around on the computer. And I came across this poem called Invictus by William Ernest Henley. And if you guys haven't read it, definitely look it up. Because the final two lines of that poem are, I'm master of my fate and captain of my soul. And I don't know why, but when I read that, it just triggered something in me where I was like, if I take radical responsibility for my life, I can create anything out of it. And I ran across the street and I grabbed a calendar that was at a pizza shop, and I marked off 90 days. I had intuition yelling at me for 6 years saying, quit drinking and lose the weight. And when I grabbed that calendar, I marked off 90 days. It was July 14th, 2017. And I said, I'm going to be 90 days sober and 20 pounds lighter. So I threw all the alcohol out of my house, and I went on YouTube and looked up all the weightlifting videos. I downloaded MyFitnessPal to track my calories and my macros. And it was the first time in 6 years that I was working towards something that was deeply meaningful to me and something that I was actually proud of myself for doing. So I went to the gym like 5, 6 days of the week. I lost a lot of friends because I stopped drinking and going out.
Right.
I remember being at the YMCA in Chicago and lifting on a Saturday night so I wouldn't go out drinking. And just like a couple times I felt tears come up. And I was like, damn, I'm fucking proud of myself. And that kept me going, even though there was like, is this working? Is this not? But the cool thing about having like a fitness goal is you get to actually
Mm-hmm.
see the tangible results of it. So I remember waking up in the middle of the night too and like feeling my back fat and be like, whoa, there's none there. That's incredible. So during that process, I remember around day 45, I got in the shower and I broke down and cried. First time I cried in 6 years. And I was finally starting to feel in my body again and process all those built up emotions. And then 30 days after that, I looked down at the scale at the YMCA and I was 21 pounds lighter. Um, and I remember the feeling of like, holy crap, I accomplished it. And then 15 days after that, I put the final X through the calendar for 90 days of being sober. It was
Mm.
crazy how much more mental clarity I had, and how much I could actually feel in my body and feel emotions again. So that's kind of the origin story, before I
Yeah.
quit my job and got into entrepreneurship. But that those 90 days changed my life.
Yeah. And this is one of the reasons why I love entrepreneurship. Um, is it's personal development at its core, and it takes you places. It challenges you mentally, emotionally, and physically. And there's a lot of parallels that I've seen in all aspects of life, going out there, going after what I want in and business. Um, you said that in July of 2017 you looked at the poem Invictus, and you had this spurt of inspiration, or this what triggered that? What triggered you to even look? How did you have the insight or inspiration that like you need to change something at that point in your life?
I had known it for 6 years, like that. My intuition was. I am sure a lot of people listening can have the same feeling of like, I should stop doing this, I should stop doing that.
Mm,
But I just never listened to it until I read that poem. I have the firm
yeah.
belief we're just one belief shift away from an entirely new life. And our beliefs create our thoughts, which create our feelings, which create our actions. And up until that point, my core belief that was somebody was going to come into my life and save me subconsciously. Somebody was going to alter the trajectory of my life and help me out. That mentor was magically going to pop up. That's not how fucking life works. So it wasn't until I read that poem and my core belief became, I'm master of my fate, I'm captain of my soul. If I take radical responsibility out of my life, I can create anything out of it. And it was just one belief shift that changed my thoughts, which changed my feelings, which changed my actions. And then to put on top of that a meaningful goal, 90-day
Mm,
goals. There's the concept of the 90-day year. So live your life, your business in 90 days, which I've been doing that since setting that goal. And you can see tangible results in 90 days. I don't know why at the time I picked 90 days, but it worked out perfectly. And now I just live my life in 90-day sprints. So, yeah.
amazing. Amazing. So how did this personal transformation evolve into entrepreneurship? Why did you want to get into business?
I was poor. I was $82,000 in student loan debt. I had $600
Yeah.
to my name. And um, I think up until that point, I didn't believe it was possible to grow or change meaningfully. And then losing that weight and quitting drinking made me realize if I put my mind to something, I can do it. So my next challenge was business, and I started Amazon FBA. I did Shopify drop shipping. I tried SMMA. I did that for like a year, kind of a shotgun approach. I think a lot of entrepreneurs go through this, and I think it's really helpful to commit to trying as much as possible for 6 months and then just pick
Mm.
one thing. So I realized I really enjoyed social media marketing for local businesses and running ads and building funnels. And I got my first client in that. And I remember my friend's dad handed me the check for $1,000 to run ads for his coffee shop. And I was like, damn, I really enjoy this. Um, so I doubled down on that, and there were ups and downs, and then I got that to 10 to 15K per month for about a year, just by myself. I didn't know how to run business. It was just me. It was all profit, essentially. I was like, this is great. And then I went into coaching, where it all took off, and started a Facebook group. I learned a lot through that process, built multiple 7-figure business, sold it in 2021, got to speak on stage with people like Damon John, Jesse Itzler, bunch of awesome, cool people, build a life of freedom and abundance, being able to travel. I'm in Cabo right now. But it wouldn't have been possible without those 90 days committing to entrepreneurship, going through the ups and downs. And yeah, and I think it starts with just proving to yourself that you can do something meaningful and worthwhile.
That's an amazing belief shift that you had in your personal transformation, and you had a goal to lose weight, get off the drinking, get off the alcohol, and you saw that you were able to do that, and it was just like, what's the next step from there? I think people have these grandiose visions that, they want to be a billionaire, they want to change the world, solve world hunger, do these huge amazing feats, but it's like we just have to start with the first step. And I think that's what you did there.
Yeah, just starting with ourselves. Like, this is what we talk about, the brotherhood, like tapping into our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual energy. That's how we shift and change and make something new out of our lives. For me, it was tapping into strengthening my physical energy so I could better tap into my emotional energy, processing my emotional energy so I could tap into my mental energy and focus it so I could be my spiritual energy at the core. And I think it all starts with going through the what I call the energy onion, and getting to the
Mhm.
center, which is being, and working every single day on our physical, mental, emotional energy so we can just be and flow more in life instead of force everything. So
How did you learn all of this? Did you read a book? Did you get mentorship? Did you go to therapy? How did you start to create this energy onion and understand these concepts?
so with the energy onion, I've spent a month in Deer Park Monastery studying with monks. And then I spent a month in Shivananda Ashram Ranch in upstate New York with yogis. So I learned a lot about Buddhist philosophy and Hindu philosophy from those two experiences, which is a lot around energy. And especially with Buddhism, it's a lot around the mind and how it works. There's so much wisdom there. In terms of business, I've invested over $500,000 into mentorship, masterminds, coaching programs, and I was nervous as hell investing into my first one. And like,
Mm.
is this going to work out? It was Ty Lopez's program. It was $82,000 student loan debt, $600 to my name, put $1,000 on a credit card, but it was the turnkey to me becoming an entrepreneur. And the only distance between where we're at and where we want to go is built a matter of building skill sets. So I love investing into coaching programs and masterminds to learn how to build those skill sets. But by investing into those, I realize there's also the people element, which is an accelerant to building those skill sets, and also surrounding ourselves with people who we want to be like. So that's why I've invested so much into coaching and masterminds and all that. And then I went
Mhm.
to Shivananda Ashram Ranch in Deer Park Monastery because I was super burnt out and just wanted to get away from everything. And I got to pick up some super valuable tools around meditation and the mind and how energy works and all of that stuff from those two experiences.
This was, if I, correct me if I'm wrong, this was after the sale of your first successful business
Yeah.
that you went off, kind of reset.
Yep. Yep. I went straight to, after 2 months of selling my business, I was depressed because I didn't have a vision for my life. I just broke up with my girlfriend, all that. I worked really hard, which helped me build that business. But I was just so emotionally depleted that I was depressed after that. And then I wanted to get away from everything. So I did a karma yoga program at Shivananda Ashram Ranch. And I did that. And it's crazy what can happen when we just like pause the thoughts in our head. So, like, for the whole month, I had an opportunity to meditate, to chant, to read scripture, and basically I did a karma yoga program, so I just mowed the lawn the whole month, which was awesome, and it slowed down my mind, which allowed my body to totally reset. And after those two experiences, I felt so connected to myself and everything around me. It was just a total energy shift. And any
Mm.
entrepreneur that is going through an experience of they have a lot of running thoughts, get away for a week to a month. And a firm belief that I have is that life isn't short. It's the longest thing we've ever done, the longest thing we ever will do. So if we just take a pause for a week or a month, our business, our life will grow exponentially from that shift in energy. So in
Mm.
2018, I burnt out after my first year of business. I went to Deer Park Monastery, and for a month in December, I made like $4,000 that month from the business because I got away. But then the following year, I tripled the business, and that wouldn't have been possible without getting away and resetting. I would have burnt out even more. So it doesn't need to be a month, but at least a week. And every person who has done something super meaningful in this world went through a period of solitude to be with themselves, and it's like having water and sand in a jar, and when we're working all the time it's just being shaken up and it's just really hazy and you can't see through. And then when we go through these experiences, we're putting the jar down, and then our mind becomes crystal clear and we get more connected to our heart because we just stopped the shaking, that's natural from everyday life.
The water and the sand separates and everything
Yep.
settles and it's clear. That's a really great analogy. I could definitely see that. Yeah. What would you advise to people who are in that stressed out state right now, probably numbing themselves with narcotics or alcohol or, you know, doing something to distract themselves from their life, and they have this feeling that they want to change? What would you say to them? Would it be, therapy or going to the Buddhist monastery? What actionable advice would you give to those people?
Great question. So I bring this up in the Brotherhood all the time. It's this, and this is something that I had to go through 29 years of my life to learn. It's the space between the notes that make the music. It's the space between our thoughts that creates music out of our lives. And if our mind is just constantly running, 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 it's just going to feel like we're just dropping plates on the floor over and over and over. And we can't be clear and we can't be connected to our heart. So it's really, really hard to stop the mind when we've been in a high cortisol stress state that activates our amygdala and makes our mind just run, 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 run. That's what was happening towards the end of Tribe of Buyers before I sold it. So if I were to go back and give advice to my younger self in Tribe of Buyers, I would tell them, do energy rituals that move you from your amygdala to your prefrontal cortex on a constant basis. That's how we put space between our thoughts to make music out of our lives. So doing, some people talk shit about the cold showers and the meditation and the breath work and be like, I made $1 million without doing those things. It's not about the money that you can make, it's how happy you are while you're doing it. So like, I'm sure those people who aren't doing those things aren't as happy as they could be, because when we're doing breath work, it increases serotonin in our body and decreases cortisol. So serotonin, happy joy molecule, and then cortisol, stressed. If there's too much in our body, then it just kind of fucks with our whole functioning. So breath work, meditation, cold showers, exercise every single day. If they're going through this experience, do an hour breath work session 2 hours before bed and notice how clear you feel the next day. And then you'll keep doing it. And then exercise every morning to get out of the head and back into the body, and your days will flow so much more. Most people that are burnt out just stopped exercising at some point, and they just became way too heady. That was me when I was burnt out from tribe of buyers.
Yeah.
So those are a few of the biggest things.
What role would you say that environment plays in the mental state and, how we feel? Because for a long time, I used to think, I'm, mentally resilient. I'm not going to let my friends or the people I work with or my parents dictate how I feel. And I was very headstrong about that. But now I'm not so sure,
Yeah.
you know?
There's a quote, environment is everything. It's like putting a plant in crappy soil, Well, crappy soil can be good, but soil that doesn't have nutrients, it's going to
Yeah.
die, right? But if we're in an environment with high nutrients and we feel good, we're going to thrive. Um, so environment is everything. And I truly believe in the quote that we're the average of the 5 best friends that we surround ourselves with, or we're the 5 people that we surround, our average of the 5 people we surround ourselves with.
Mhm.
Um, and I have another concept called neuron hacking. So, how this actually works is that we have three primary types of neurons. So, we have sensory neurons that we bring in the senses: sight, smell, touch, hearing, all of that. And then it goes into our inner neurons, which are our beliefs, our values, our all of that stuff, basically our perception of the world, that go to our motor neurons, the actual action. So, if we want to change how we're actually operating, the easiest thing to change is our sensory neurons, the people that we're surrounding ourselves with, the actual physical environments that we're in. That changes our inner neurons, what we believe, what our vision is, all of that, to our motor neurons, what we actually work and act and do. So the
Mhm.
easiest way to change our vision and change our beliefs and change our actions is changing the people that we surround ourselves with, which changes our inner neurons and then our motor neurons.
Fascinating. That's fascinating stuff. I would love to read more up on that. I'll definitely want to ask you for some information or resources or book recommendations towards the end. Um, but the show is called Becoming Bankable. I do want to touch upon the business aspect as well, and making money, which is a big motivation. Um, what's So you're saying that there's a direct correlation with how we feel and these energy rituals and the amount of money that we can make, or are you not saying that, or
100%. It's about like sustainable money. So I know a lot of people that can work really freaking hard and make a lot of money, and then because they're in such a shit state, they make a bad investment, and then it goes all kaput, or they feel like they're not worthy of it because they worked so hard and they neglected their feelings. So I can tell so many stories of people that have just worked really hard and then lost it all. So it's a matter of sustainable money, actually being able to keep it and feel like you're worthy of it and all of that. Because anybody can make money from working really hard, but can they actually keep it? Right. So that's where like the energy rituals come into play, actually enjoying the money that we're making, all of that stuff. Because hard work is a big component of making the money, but can we
Mhm.
actually keep it? And do we
Yeah.
actually feel worthy of it? So putting work into ourselves and our energy rituals allows us to feel good, enjoy our money while we have it, and make us feel like we earned it and it's worth it, you know?
Got it. Got it. Okay. So what was your thinking around Masters of Fate when you first started it, and how did it change or evolve from your previous businesses that were burning you out?
Totally. So in Tribe of Buyers, it was a marketing coaching company, and we help people grow their Facebook groups and also create their offers, and then help them with their marketing, sales, operations, all of that stuff in our highest end program. And we just focused on business, 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 which was great. And we worked with people like Cole Gordon, who now runs a $30 million sales agency, and Bastian Slott, who's a 8-figure coach, Doug Botten, who just spoke at Funnel Hacking Live, Jen Stacy Conkey, who went from making $3K per month to $20K per month in 10 months. So we had a lot of success, but it wasn't as meaningful. It just got to a point where I felt like I was just a coach coaching coaches, coaching coaches. And what I want to do in Masters of Fate is help people find their dharma, their path, and build their business around that. So it's not just a bunch of copycat coaches. They're actually bringing their own unique skill set to the world. So that's why in Masters of Fate, we have the human OS and the business OS. Human OS to define your values, your vision, your beliefs, your principles, and define who you truly are at your core and what you truly want, and having a system around that. So then you can implement your business around those things that truly light you up. So, for example, my core educational values is human behavior, social dynamics, and spiritual studies. So that's what I love learning about. And then my core vocational values are researching, systemizing, and teaching. So what do? I research human behavior, social dynamics, and spiritual studies. And then how do I work in my business? I research, I systemize, and I teach, and I build my team around that. So like our sales team, our marketing team has more vocational values around influence, persuasion, sales, all that stuff, where that's not a huge, huge value of mine. I really love learning about influence and persuasion, but it's not one of my top values. So I want to hire people on my team around those other values that they truly embody that is unique to them. Yeah, more heart-centered inside of this business, having the brotherhood, sisterhood, masters of business on the back end. Yeah, it lights me up way more than just money, 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 which is great, but it's not what life is all about.
What is the future vision of the Masters of Fate, the brotherhood, the sisterhood, and the Masters of Business?
Mm-hmm.
And where does it go from here?
Yeah.
Like, you built it up to this point. It's very impressive. The human OS system and the business OS, visualizing these stats like a health scorecard, but for your emotions and your business. Where do you see it going from this point on?
Yeah, one of our core objectives was to build the most supportive and loving communities for brotherhood, sisterhood, and masters of business. And we're refining our methodologies around that to help people become super cohesive. And then from here, it's creating custom applications. So we built the current OS systems on top of Airtable. So in about 1 to 2 years, creating custom applications out of those systems. And then the ultimate vision is to create a wearable where we can actually see our emotions, where see our cortisol levels, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, endorphin levels, and be able to identify how to put ourselves in the optimal state for the activity that we're doing. So it could tell you hey, you're going to bed soon, your cortisol levels are high, here are some breath work exercises, or here are some meditation exercises to do to reduce your cortisol levels, increase your serotonin levels so you can have better sleep.
Got it.
So that's the ultimate vision, is to create a wearable around that. And when we can see how we feel and what state we're in, we can always shift our energy and shift our state with certain natural activities. And I think it would
Mhm.
totally eliminate depression, anxiety, all of that stuff, just from people using it. So,
That's amazing. We share a common goal to help people suffering with the mental illnesses and depression, anxiety. So I can definitely relate to that. So we're wrapping up here, Andrew. What were some resources or book recommendations that you would recommend for people getting started in business, wanting to increase their overall health in their jobs or their current career paths, and how to get started on this road
yeah. So I have a selfish
success here.
plug for our 7-figure entrepreneur community. So we have a free course to help entrepreneurs get started. Um, but for exercise routines, I would follow Damian Patrick on YouTube. He has the. Have you done those? Because I know Noah is a big proponent of those in the Brotherhood.
Damian Patrick? No, I haven't heard of
Oh,
him.
he is the best. He's the guy that I followed when I lost those 20 pounds in 90 days. I just followed his
Okay,
exercise routines to a T.
cool.
They're so good. In terms of books, Road Less Stupid by Keith Cunningham is like the business Bible for me. People that have, I would recommend it to people with team members. Um, but it's really good. Getting started books with business, anything from Russell Brunson is really good. They're just classics. Um, and then my favorite personal book is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that I've listened to it over 50 times, usually before bed, and it's ingrained in my subconscious now. So that book is incredible. The Almanac of Naval Ravikant is one of my favorites. So mixing spirituality with business, really good. Um, Anything by Alex Harmozy on YouTube, so good. So,
There you have it. All right, Andrew. Where can people find you and connect and collaborate with you?
yeah, mofbrothers.com. Mofbrothers.com. That's our main website. And then on Instagram, it's Captain Kroeze with a K. And then on Facebook, just Andrew Kroeze. Happy to connect and jam out. Shoot me a message. So,
Awesome, man. And we'll post all these links in the show notes below for everybody to see. Thank you so much, Andrew, for taking the time. And thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of Becoming Bankable. We'll see you guys next
thanks for
time.
having me, man.